Hey everybody, Chrissy here today. I'm going to show you how to make this card, and I made a second one that's fairly similar. We're going to use some supplies from DecoFoil and Therm, of course, along with some amazing waffle flower stamps. So the first thing I did was I wanted to secure down my stencil to a piece of cardstock, so I used my purple tape for that. And now it's nice and secure. The stencil and the paper, they are not going to move at all. So I put a thin layer of transfer gel using a palette knife. If you don't have a palette knife, that's okay. You can use a piece of like folded cardstock. I mean, you could use your finger. Just gets kind of messy. So make sure when you're done with that stencil and everything, you clean off your surface, clean off that stencil. You can see here, I'm actually going to clean off the top lip of that jar, just because you don't want it to dry and seal it shut. Don't ask me how I know. So just make sure you clean everything off really good. That stuff is sticky and it is incredibly awesome. You're going to see the technique we're going to do with it later, and you're going to be blown away by the stuff if you haven't seen it before. So while I was letting that dry, and I should mention, set it aside to dry, and it'll take about an hour depending on the humidity. You can use a heat gun if you want to, but be careful, it could bubble. So I usually let it dry the old-fashioned way. But while I was letting that dry, I decided to go ahead and stamp and watercolor some images. So I stamped these cute little waffle flower bouquet builder flowers. I am using watercolor cardstock, and then I just used some Gina K ink here. I'm actually going to protect it with clear embossing powder. If you wanted to do like a no watercoloring technique, don't use black ink. I just didn't mind if the black kind of popped out. I was okay with that. So like I said, stamp it and then cover it with clear embossing powder. And I mentioned, this is the bouquet builder set from Waffle Flower. I think it's so pretty. There's so many options with this one. There's a bunch of pretty little flowers and leaves and vines and stuff in that set. I couldn't decide which ones to use, but these were the two that kind of like really popped out at me. So now I am just going to go ahead and watercolor. I'm watercoloring with ink. You can use any type of medium you want. If you don't want to watercolor, you don't have to. I just like the look of the soft watercolors that contrast when I put it with a bunch of foil. I like the idea of like the foil kind of popping out and then like that soft pastel watercolor look. I'm using some light greens and I'm actually using some grays. I decided I really wanted these two cards to be muted. I also kind of did something I don't normally do, and on one of the cards I actually decided to go no sentiment on the front. And I know that seems kind of crazy, like we all seem to always put sentiments on the front. I did put one on the inside, but when I make more of these in the future, because I'm going to, I love the way that these turned out, I think I'm just going to leave them blank, and I might use them as just kind of like note cards, maybe thank yous, or just generic note cards to use for whatever I need them for, whether it be sympathy or whatever, because they just came out so pretty. And I made them for birthday, but afterwards I looked at them and I was like, I could use these for anything. I mean, really, even just like a thinking of you. So same thing with the flower that I did with the pretty vine. I used a lot of darks. Like I used a lot of gray, I used black. Like I said, I wanted this to be really muted. And this is also something that like I was kind of afraid to do. I thought about doing it a couple times and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Like I need to stick with my normal watercoloring. And you know what? I did it and I really, really liked the way that it looked. So I ended up using almost all gray and all black. I used a couple different dark grays and a black to kind of highlight it. And then I just used limited, I guess you'd say regular colors, like limited muted colors. I think it really, really goes well with contrasting the foil. So this is the rose gold foil. So I put it on top of, remember, our transfer foil panel. It's dry, yay! So I put it on there and now I'm running it through my laminator. I put a piece of cardstock down inside the parchment paper, then the card panel, and then the foil face out with the silver side down. See how pretty? Oh, it's so pretty. Look, oh my goodness. And now keep that little piece. You can use it again. So make sure that you keep all of your negatives when you're foiling, and you can get like double the foil. You can put it like on some toner paper, and then you kind of have like the negative of it for a future card or project or whatever. So then I just went and I trimmed out this flower. You can see it there. It looks so pretty already. It's not even put together. Yay! Yay, look at that. So then I decided that I needed to, this is when I was like, oh, I gotta put a sentiment. I knew I didn't want to, but like at the same time, you know, you have a hard time breaking your patterns. So I started kind of laying out the card, and then I was like, you know what? Sentiment inside. I'm doing this. Push myself, do it. So I just used a light gray, decided to keep along with the theme of really kind of using just like grays and golds more than anything else with this card. And I just stamped it up, and you can see I'm actually stamping a sentiment inside. I don't get it. Like, we're card makers, right? But like hardly any of us put sentiments inside the cards. I don't know, whatever. So to anchor, kind of like anchor, to give like a anchor to the front of this card, I just trimmed a piece of black cardstock and put it on the front there. I just kind of felt like that flower was going to be floating without this piece on there. And I mean, realistically, if I wanted to, I probably could have added a small sentiment in that black strip, but I felt like I shouldn't do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and I added that front panel using the 3D foam squares. And you can see I'm also going to put a little bit of thread in the background. I just wanted something else, nothing too crazy, just a little bit of thread, a few sequins. I really wanted the focus to be not just on that pretty flower because like I said, so muted, so beautiful, but I really, really wanted that background to pop. I love the rose gold and I just love the way that it looks with that transfer gel. I mean, it looks like it's pre-made like that. I don't think anyone would actually realize that you made it yourself. So my little trick with the thread, I cut a big piece and I just kind of like wrap it around and then I stick it on with Scotch tape. I don't know if this is what everyone does, but this is what I do. And then I just hide it with the image so no one even sees the Scotch tape. And I just put a little bit of foam on the flower as well. So you can see how nice and pretty that is. So then to finish everything up, I decided I did want some sequins. So I used some liquid adhesive. Now this liquid adhesive is fantastic for sequins because it does dry totally clear. This is like my go-to glue, really my go-to glue for anything when I use liquid adhesive. And I'm just using some tweezers because sometimes I'm a butterfingers and yeah, I'll drop everything everywhere. So I just take the tweezers and I kind of dip it gently in the glue and then put it on the card. Then to finish it off, I used a little bit of sparkle and added it in the flower. So here you can see this is both cards. I did a similar technique with the second one as well. So thanks so much for stopping by today. Use hashtag ThermoWeb and hashtag DecoFoil online so we can find you. Have a great day.